Following my recent video on repairing this rotten wooden windowsill and frame, a couple of folks have commented that most people would probably have just ripped it out and replaced it with uPVC. And that's certainly something I thought about before making a start on it. In this video then, I'm going to quickly run through the costs of the repair and compare them with installing a new uPVC or wooden window. Looking at the costs of materials only, they total just under £90, of which 20 is down to the number of multi-tool blades that got blunted. That sill turned out to be pretty solid in places. That figure represents the cost of materials used on the job, but as we all know, you can't buy a third of a tin of paint, so the actual amount of money I ended up spending totaled £138. That's what I've called the wallet cost. If you're a keen DIYer like myself, then obviously you'll keep all the partially used stuff for the next job that comes along. Alternatively, you may have had some of the things to hand already, left over from previous jobs. However you look at it though, the material spend was somewhere between £90 and £140. I've assumed that like me, you already have the tools, and I also haven't made any allowance for wear and tear on them. So how much for a new uPVC window then? Well, for both uPVC and wooden window options, I've used a couple of online design and price tools, although you may feel that you could get cheaper offerings from a local company or perhaps through a mate in the business, etc. Taking the uPVC option first, with an almost exact like-for-like replacement, albeit with double glazing as compared to the current single glazed window, the price comes out at £417. We could get this down to £357 if we went with clear glass rather than obscured, but I'd rather not have the inside of my garage on full view to the public. It's too untidy for one thing. Adding in delivery of £59, we end up with a total cost of £476, excluding fitting of course. Looking at the wooden option, although not exactly like for like due to the limitations of the design tool, the cost comes out at £672, excluding delivery. Although the opening pane in this case is full height, rather than the reduced height opener on the current window, I'm going to assume that this doesn't have a massive impact on the cost, perhaps at most 50 to 100 quid. So, using the wallet cost figure of £140 for the repair, taking £100 off the wooden cost, and assuming delivery will be similar for both the uPVC and wooden options, we see the repair option is clearly the lowest in terms of money laid out. But of course, materials are of no use without some labour to do the repair work, or in the case of the new frames, to install them. Now, if you're a capable DIYer who has plenty of time on their hands, assigning a labour cost to a job probably seems a bit academic. But assuming you do, or perhaps you need to pay a handyman to do the work, a more realistic cost of each option can be calculated. Assuming a handyman rate of £25 per hour, could be more, could be less, my decent repair cost increases by £800 to £940, given that I reckon I spent near enough 32 hours in total on the job. A decent uPVC fitter would have the old window out and a new one installed within 2 or 3 hours, but I've assumed it would probably take me around 6 hours, hence a notional cost of £150, taking the total cost to £626. Similarly for the wooden frame, but in that case I've added a couple of hours to allow for painting, taking the total to £831. For sure, you can challenge me on any of these specific figures, but I think they do demonstrate why in most cases your average householder would be well justified in just having a new uPVC window fitted. You certainly wouldn't pay someone else £800 to repair the existing window, and unless you really need to keep with wooden frames, the lower cost and reduced maintenance of the uPVC option make it the clear choice of the two. So do I think that repairing it was the right choice? Well, for me at least, yes. I've got time on my hands, kept me out of trouble for a while, and I get a weird sense of masochistic fulfillment from hard work. I also thought it would make a good subject for a YouTube video, and perhaps make me a few quid in AdSense revenue. But on that last point, I'm still waiting. As always, thanks for watching. Cheers.